Daniel and I, we're both Romanians, but we're going to speak today in English. We're really thankful for all our international colleagues who came here and respect that a lot. And I think the audience as well would appreciate if all of us speak the same language. We're here to talk to you about Iasi and why we're here. We're extremely excited to have made it, to be in this company, and we'd like to take you through our projects. But before that, we'd like to give you a few words about our practice for the wider audience. I hope this is working, the presentation. Okay, so we are FOSTER+PARTNERS. We are an office based in London. Daniel and myself are senior partners, part of an amazing team of professionals. And this is our office. We're at the edge of the Thames. This is just part of it. And we've got, I think, around 20 offices around the world. We do really exciting work. Every project is different. Every project is tailored, is done specifically for its requirement. And you'll see we did the same approach for Iasi. Nothing is the same, we think. We're 1,700 specialists. And these are our departments. We think we're absolutely unique in the world in doing this. Architecture is our main goal, and design as well. But all these other functions, structural engineering, environmental engineering, sustainability, really important, and many, many others are key parts of our business, or not business, our way of working. All integrated, all leading to what we think is the best design. And this allows us to tackle every type of project. Yeah, and said, every time is different. Every time we approach it as if it's our first project. A short film about our practice. If you don't mind putting the sound up, I'll go back. So everything you'll see here is our colleagues, it's our buildings, it's our way of working. I hope this explains a bit of how we work.
We have always believed that great design makes a difference. However hard, however uncertain, we still believe in that truth, that in some way we can contribute to a better world. By further pursuing our holistic approach, by entrusting in our people, we lay the foundations today that will help you design for a brighter tomorrow. Diversity leads to richness, inclusivity, strength, collaboration. Our future leaders stand among us today, those who dare to dream, those with ideas that reach far into the global community. They will carry this responsibility into a future yet unknown, redefining travel, mobility, the way that we work, the energy that we harness, the medicine we develop, the cities that we build, the planets we will inhabit. Creating a balanced world of nature and humanity, where creativity, connectivity, and sustainability drive our society, working alongside the catalysts of change, the thought leaders, the vision makers, the game changers. We endeavour to improve ourselves, to nurture a workplace you can be proud of, to acknowledge and meet the challenges of an ever-changing world. We are the designers, the innovators, the problem solvers, the drivers of what we will become. In your hands, the power to make a difference. We can be at the heart of helping to design a better future. We have come a long way, but the journey has just begun.
I think it's a good ending because it is one of our dear projects, the Apple Park. I think probably some of you know we worked for 7 or 8 years on that project. But of course, we're here to talk about Iași, which has been an amazing journey for us.
Actually, at the opposite pole in terms of how respectful and how careful we've looked at it. So the few topics we'd like to take you through today about the project, about Iași, is why we love Iași, the context integration, the public realm, a bit about the development, the residences, and sustainability. We came here, we sketched, we know every single monument, every single street by now. It was quite daunting, and I think for all of our colleagues to figure this out, but it's so much going on. We're now confident we understand it all. We sketched the environment to get a sense for the scale, for the intricacy of details, and how people actually perceive the space. So the main question is, what do we want to achieve here in Iași, and what do you require? And we mentioned this, it's a balancing act for us. It has to be respectful of its history, but also futuristic. It has to be respectful of the heritage, but visionary, and so on. All these different components, and we have to find the right answer for Iași. It's not an easy answer. But we had some help. The Julius group, of course, organized all this. Without them, nothing would have happened. But the people of Iași gave their opinions, and we took that into consideration. It has to be a place for the people, a sustainable city, a green city, a university center, and so on, but also in the corner, small, an architectural icon. So we've tried to balance all that as well. The experts, the jury, we had a tremendous brief that helped us all develop the project. So all these came to mind, what the project should be. Sustainable, friendly, nature, complex, historic, innovative, a catalyst, all of these. So for us, the vision is for the project, for Iași, is to be sustainable, friendly, residential, the public realm, a historic heritage, and a destination for the entire city. So we went back to our London office with a lot of energy. This is our team. We built models, we sketched. This is our professor from Stuttgart sketching on the master plan. Nick Haddock, our head of landscape design, he found out he's got relatives in Iași here, so imagine he was super excited to do the landscape design, and so on, sustainability team. And we also review it very often with our most experienced people, our most senior people. So it all starts with history. As an architect, you design for the present with an awareness of the past, for a future which is essentially unknown, a quote for our founder, Lord Foster. So we did that extreme analysis going into depth of what Iași is, and one of the key factors was for us is the site was always at the edge of the citadel, just outside the citadel's boundary. But it also was built, which is interesting, and the front was much closer if you look outside where the current build is. It created a plaza. And everything beyond that was floodable, and actually not almost a slum for many centuries. When the river got channeled and contained, St. Andrew managed to grow and develop, and that was the opportunity. So now the site, because of that, is at the center of all these major axes and at the center of the city, and has an amazing potential. And for us, the main one is to bring life from the Palace Park all the way down through the heart of St. Andrew, down to the river park, and make that also a feature in the future. We looked at the topography, and here we found this connect of you have a large level difference, which goes all around. I don't think I have a pointer. And you've seen how successful the slope is at the Julius Mall. We have the similar opportunity here to create a southern and southwestern facing area for the people to enjoy. And we looked at the streetscape and saw that there's not much connectivity linking you down towards the river. So the opportunities, of course, and I think many did this, is to connect through with pedestrian links, but also with the vehicular links, almost like stitching the city together. Context integration played a tremendous part. We're in a historic context and fabric, and this is an old depiction of Iași, really beautiful, with the Metropolitan Church. So trying to really summarize very basic, the first moves for the context integration is taking the planning regulation, protecting the views, enhancing the public realm, lighting and orientation, the outward views for the apartments to ensure best quality for the inhabitants, and stepping the gardens back. So almost like a sculptor goes and starts shaping the massing. The planning regulations are clear. I mean, we personally are very familiar with it, being Romanian, so for us it was quite easy to determine what the setbacks, everything has to be. This is the maximum volume you would be allowed to build on this site. A bit taller at the palace, and you can gradually going down towards St. Andrew. That was already a clue for us. This is what the city is trying to achieve. So we started this view corridor analysis, and we did it really thorough, but we'll come to that. We've predicted what people flow would do, what the desire lines are, and created connections to link the active zone from the palace place down to the river. And this resulted in further cuts through the massing. Sun and getting light, the right quality for the spaces, but also for the accommodation, for the apartments is really important. So we mapped the sun on this maximum volume and realized that there wasn't enough light within that central plaza. There's a piece of the land which we're not allowed to build on. It's the regulation. So that for us remained unbuilt, and the result is by lowering those volumes substantially, we managed to get the southern and western sun. This is the volume. And then, of course, for the apartments and the quality of those, the best views, looking at the palace and looking also towards the city and also Galata towards the south. And we've run that parametrically to study and prove that everyone has great views out. The final step is this stepping terraces towards the St. Andrew Quarter. It's providing this landscaped environment, a garden, quality for the apartments, but also helps us run down towards a different type of grain. We did loads of studies. We play with models, and we've tested them. And for us, we think there's almost like Cinderella's shoe. The building has to fit within the given parameters, which we've studied. Yeah, and this is another model. That's how we work. It's almost impossible from us to detach. It's the best way to look at it. There's a model downstairs, but we've done it ourselves as well, just to understand it better. And it has more context and more activation. So protecting the views will go quite quickly. Everyone has done it, but we can assure you this has been studied in thorough details. And there's protected views, sensible views, and complementing views. All of Ștefan cel Mare, as you walk through it, you should never see the development. It doesn't matter how important it is. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is. You should never see it. Yeah, so the massing in its state is always hidden behind the monuments. There's one particular view, if you go to the other side of this street, where you could see a bit of it. So immediate step for us was cut it off. You can't see it. It's conflicting with history. If you go to Poduroș, you can see the Metropolitan Church, Cathedral, and you can see the overlap of the building. Again, immediately, we want to remove that. We want to have this view corridor, see the cathedral. So the cut goes right through the volume. You barely see it. But also this opportunity while you're there and you walk around to enhance the riverside. So for us, it's looking outwards. It's not looking only at the site. It's looking at the entire city and finding moments. Another important view, maybe unusual, but it's the palace seen from the overpass, and quite a big overlap with the maximum volume. So here, we cut a bit more in order to allow for that tower and most of this building to be visible from all around the city. This is always going to be the main protagonist of the city. And there's some other views, yeah, where you complement. The building becomes part of the composition. It's end of the perspective, in this case, or within the palace place. And we've tried to break down the massing, scale it down to start meeting the height requirements for the old monuments. We've also did a few additional views because we walked around the streets and found out that there's really important sight lines that should be protected. One of them from the Metropolitan Church, looking to Biserica Lipovenească, and you can see those towers, and they're actually shining in the light. If you see, it's quite a glossy surface, and it's a pity to lose that. So again, we've reacted to that, and you can see it now. Similar from St. Andrew, as you walk to that street, there's a visual connection to the Catedrala Metropolitana, and we can recess the volume or cut it in order to allow for that view to happen. And finally, this view from the river, towards the Sfântul Nicolae Domnesc. End of perspective, really important for us to see it. So from the river, get the connection to the plaza all the way there. So another cut through the massing. So after all these steps, from this maximum volume, which is the regulation, you can build this, we went into shaping it to a grain that we think feels very integrated within the fabric. Larger buildings to the front, the smaller grain towards the St. Andrew quarter. And also in a section or elevation, you can see the palace is still always the king of the place, and our building is creating a front and is gently stepping down towards St. Andrew, always below the palace. In terms of the development, the building itself, a few ideas so you understand how it's structured. The public realm is for us the most important thing. It's a high space everyone can go through. It's public. This is a gift for the city from everyone, from the developer, from everyone. The residential is clearly separated. It's it's a more private program, and we want to keep it separated in terms of function, acoustic, and so on. And below the services, the parking that's required per law, also as much efficient as possible, because the more efficient you do that, the more you can have quality at the top. In terms of program, residential, primarily in St. Andrew, it makes a lot of sense to have some of that on our site as well, and then the activity towards the palace. So that's basically how the massing works for us, very simply. Parking, the whole commercial or the whole public space at the ground plane and first floor, and then everything above is apartment, very, very well structured. The public realm is the most important thing of the project, and it's structured around the people of Iași. So we took into account everyone's opinion, and we wanted to create this place really as vibrant as its people, very diverse. We can, from the Palace Place, meandering down landscape path into a contained plaza, which can be the heart of this place, and then further down to St. Andrew, where another little
I think
plaza
the project should be called, I think, History. Just a little annotation, is probably the title of the entire competition. For us, it's probably the Heart of St. Andrew, that's the title, which is more appropriate probably. The Heart of Iași is obviously this place in front of us, while that can become something that relates to this, but also to the
St.
Andrew neighborhood, which was always somehow forgotten in history.
So it's a really active place that is programmable all the way throughout the year. You can do events there, and you can have people meeting. Now, day one is where we see the development today is structured around the plot, and we've designed it in such a way that all the cars actually stay on the outside. You don't bring drop-offs on the site. We want to enhance the public realm as much as possible. It's all a park. But what our opportunity, what we saw in this is actually the future, is where you think Anastasie Panu and Palat Street could be connected through an underground connection. And that could open up this whole thing to the palace. It's pedestrianizing this area and connecting the Ștefan cel Mare to the palace entry. I think that's years ahead. We don't know if that's possible, but for us, it became a dream. And we think this could be a contribution, a real contribution to the city as well. Yeah, so really a pedestrianized area, a large park. And we said, how can we quantify that? How can we explain it to you? It could create a park that's 11.5 hectares, and that's the size of the Copeau Park at the end of this axis. So you have these two poles, two amazing parks within the city. Okay, some scale comparison, Jardin de Tuileries in Paris, for example, if you know, or Green Park in London. It could be absolutely amazing having something like that. And landscape-wise, the concept is to come from a classical landscape towards a more naturalistic one, towards the base, towards the river. It's a clear reference to the formal part of the city, the Palace Plaza, and then the more natural riverbanks. We even worked out the palette. I told you about the landscape architect in our team who found family. He got really excited. We have a native palette here as well. And that's the image in this future expression where the axis can be programmable. You can have events, markets, all of that. The tram can still go through, and then the two buildings that we're suggesting can create this link to the river. It's almost like a portal, encouraging people to go down to that site. The archaeological heritage and how we enhance it. We have an exhibition space and a gallery within the left-hand side building. There's 3 moments within this project. There's the park at the top, there's the heart of St. Andrew, the central plaza, and the St. Andrew Square at the base. And this is how they relate to the topography. Topography gives us a chance to create different moments, different quality of spaces. And it should be super vibrant and varied. Yeah? The St. Andrew is dedicated to the neighborhood. It's supposed to be little shops, flower shops, the butcher, or everything, the amenities the city would need. The heart of St. Andrew is something more vibrant. It's restaurants, it's evening, it's sunset, it's all of that. And the park, the Palace Park, is a bit more formal. It's what we see here with enhanced. It's the layout. We have the 2 major buildings towards the palace. It's a bit more formal. We have larger mass here. And then as you go down, you have the 3 smaller elements facing the St. Andrew neighborhood. Really important for us was to activate the streetscape as well. The opposite side might get improved as well, and we think this should be a pleasant walk down the street towards the river. It's not only about the internal circulation. The heart of St. Andrew is clearly defined, that's public space. And a really interesting thing that we thought and we wanted to bring here is the quality of the outdoor space. So we're giving 1,000 square meters of covered space, outdoor space. So this idea came about, which is really embedded within the Romanian, Moldavian way of thinking. It's a very sensible approach to how to be outdoors when it's raining, when you have too much sun, how to protect the building. And we took that a step further. And we know the climate actually wants this. There's great quality from March to November. You can stay outdoors, enjoy the weather, but it's also quite rainy. It's almost as rainy as London. So you want some protection. This is an image coming through that pathway towards the river. And you can see people enjoying the weather, enjoying the outside. It can be autumn, and you're still outside protected. This canopy also provides you privacy from the apartments above and creates a clear separation, which we think is required. People want their privacy. The warm materiality, we think the future is happy. The future should be warm timber, maybe stone. It should be something pleasant. It's a place for the city. And as you move down to the heart of St. Andrew, you get larger height, people enjoying the outdoors. It can be almost like a Rockefeller moment. People come there to enjoy all seasons. And of course, the view corridors. You can see all these different historic and the connection to the monuments. Coming down to St. Andrew, this is a much smaller scale dedicated to the neighborhood. Reference to the river, a little water fountain. People can stay and enjoy the evening sun. This is orientated towards west and towards south. So you can imagine in the afternoon enjoying a coffee or a beer and having the sun really, it could be the best moment of the project. And this is the view in the evening for the neighborhood. It's a smaller scale. People come in from these little streets and they find this oasis. And still, you see this connection to the old city, the old part. Trei Ierarhi, Sfântul Nicolae Domnesc, and the palace. In terms of parking and the building for the architects and the ones more interested, I think the few points we took from this was to try and keep it as efficient as possible. We've created that large block at the end, which contains most of the parking. We managed to do it over 3 levels, which allows us to, I think our best gain is to, what we do is future-proof the building. So in the future, you can imagine, maybe there's not so much parking required because people, it's self-driving cars or the proximity is closer. So you can transform the conventional section, either in putting more car parks or actually transform it into offices or retail or anything you want.
So the first floor and the second floor, or ground floor and first floor, they can be transformed in the future. And you can have, as you can see in this plan, parking now, but in the future you can actually have offices, or you can have further commercial opportunities, shops, kitchens, whatever it is, restaurants. So that's a big future-proofing component.
Coming to the residences, this should be a proper address for its inhabitants. It has to be successful also for the client, for everyone. It has to be a viable project. So we think we've tailored it in these 5 buildings, all of them being slightly individual. The ones at the Palace, we call Palace residences, and the St. Andrew residences. Quite discreet entrances in these ones. You come in gentle, but then the space opens. There's large residential lobbies, and we wanted to emphasize this verticality. The atriums are open, and you can see over multiple floors. So you have a grand sense of entry to your building. Simple layouts, everything around the central atriums and the cores in terms of functions, and then all the front of house spaces, living room, terraces, bedrooms, all facing the views out. Everything has great quality. The 1-bedroom apartments, the 2-bedroom apartments facing the most incredible views, and each building has a penthouse at the top, a 3-bedroom apartment. Just as an example, this was the brief. Yeah, very small 1-bedroom apartments, but for us, for every single one, we want to ensure quality. So you come in, you've got the living and kitchen. Kitchen can be closed. A large terrace, very important, because people start enjoying their homes more and more now and got used to spending more time there. And ensuite bedroom. And this, I think, has quite a quality. The planting as a filter, etc.
I think also worth saying is every apartment type has this corner condition. So you get diagonal views throughout from each and every condition.
The 2 bedrooms, these ones are facing this place, the Palace. You're coming in centrally, you've got this longitudinal living room with a terrace, and just quicker, this is the view you would get. I think it's really incredible for whoever moves in here. And then the penthouse, these are 2 stories, large double-height living room, terrace all the way around. And you can also access the upper floor through a service route from the 2nd floor. You want to talk through the vision?
Okay, in terms of the vision, I think for us there are a few components. It's the verticality, what we recognized. Every building in this city, or the majority of the important ones, the Palace, all the churches, the Cathedrala Metropolitana, they all have a common theme. It's verticality. And we tried with our concept to express that. The other one was the horizontality of the canopy and this overhang, which creates this intimate feeling of being under the canopy, being in this warm environment and friendly environment. So taking all those on boards, we developed this with a strong presence at the Palace, the enhanced verticality, which also creates this slender appearance, a minimal appearance, if you would also imagining it outside, and then translating it into the horizontal plane. And this can create quite an iconic appearance, we think, and striking appearance, which would work very well in relation with the Palace and with the existing fabric. And you can imagine it in a few years with the park in front and the whole landscape coming to life.
I think this is what we're looking to achieve, is this really openness of the space, the building leading you through to the next piece of development in the city, the river probably, and creating this permeability through the site.
I think materiality was also one of our topics we thought about really in depth, and we wanted to make it of the place. And we found inspiration in all sorts of materials and buildings. And something that drew our attention is the terracotta or tiles. And there's a lot of craftsmanship in it, in local history. But we, of course, want to give it the innovation and the twist of it has to be very performing. It can be large formats of super bioactive ceramics, which can do self-cleaning. They can even do air cleaning potentially. So quite innovative in that sense. And it gives us also the opportunity to separate and differentiate between the 5 buildings, to give them their own identity. Because we're building a part of the city. We're building a small neighborhood with these buildings. And then we found the intricacy of the details as well, which also highlights, in a way, the verticality, but also refinement in the project. And I think this helped us define and create an architecture that is timeless, that would stay and withstand the passing of time. Sustainability, really, really important for us. We left it for last, but just to make a point. It's everything you saw is building the layers of sustainability from bottom up, yeah, with a park, with a wellness component. Our office is doing sustainability, as you mentioned, since the 70s, since it was founded. And throughout every project, there was innovation in that respect. Yes. We have a crisis. I think everyone knows global warming. It's becoming more and more evident, but it's also quantified nowadays. So it's not just, it's clear facts. And we, at the moment, we're emitting much more than we're actually the Earth, the biocapacity can take. Yeah, so it's going the wrong way, definitely. And just to put it into perspective, yeah, this is kind of, this is Europe, this is Romania. We are producing more carbon, 2.3 times more than the Earth can absorb. Yeah, the US is the worst, yeah, so we're better than that here. But it's not good, yeah, it's not good at all. So, but we can do many things about it. And we, as an office, have been involved in the Paris Agreement and writing and helping visualize what it means, because it's a very complicated and detailed document. But it says we have to limit the temperature, the global temperature rise, to 1.5 degrees. At the moment, the temperature rise historically, you can see, has risen from the industrial age till now with about 1 degree. We want to contain that. At the moment, what the project is doing with a BREEAM Excellent, which is an achievement, of course. I mean, it's one of the standards. It's a high standard. It's only achieving, as you can see, 4 degrees. Yeah, so it's not that forward thinking. And we want to try and push the boundaries for that as well.
I think we want to do a lot better than that, and we think we have all the tools to do it. So just to put it into perspective, buildings will have the same fate as cars in a way. Petrol cars are being banned, electric cars, we see it throughout the world, and bad buildings will also be punished in a way. If you're not performing, you're not going to be competing. You're not going to be able to build anymore. So it has to be taken really seriously by our industry.
And we try to summarize it as much as we can. This is specifically for Iași, for this project, in this location. And you can see we always talk about operational cost, carbon, which is what the building consumes in its lifetime. And we have to actually address also the embodied carbon, how you build it and how efficient you build it. And you can see it's a much bigger component of this. I think one thing to highlight from this is the transport. We're very good because we're in the center of the city. That's already a given, so that's perfect. And that's, I think, something to promote. You have to build further in the city and be closer so you can use public transport and you can have walking distances. Now, we have the tools to lower every component that we just mentioned, yeah, from the point where we're here, of how you start the project and how you design, to the structure, facades, and so on. We have the means of lowering the carbon to about 40%, yeah, which is already reaching, you can see, 2 degrees, yeah, so it's getting close to that 1.5. And then you can additionally push with offsets, yeah, by investing in forests or building a park in front and other things. So we see it as an organism, the whole building, and we'll just cut it short, but it's starting with what we talked about, the park, the public realm. It's all about well-being and how people feel in this environment. And then it starts with more physical, starting with how the building actually interacts and performs. Yeah, so a zero carbon development, the resources, how you build. Is it a concrete building? Is it a timber building? Conserving the water, so capturing all that water that rains 11 days a month. Putting the people first, of course, and then also learning while operating the building. And that ties in very well with the well-being of the people, of course, and it creates this whole quality of the project.
Okay, so I think just summarizing the project, what we're trying to achieve is to give a lot more to Iași than just a building or just that site, is to enhance our thinking through a citywide maybe approach, And I think these are the key facts. Today, the site is inaccessible. There's nothing. Tomorrow, when we manage to do something or someone does, you do get quality space, outdoor space. But there's also this further potential, which we're really keen to explore. And I think just in terms of what I think the focus should be is pedestrian-focused, nature-orientated and sustainable, respectful towards its history, and diverse, lively, and open. And we think it should be undoubtedly Iași. When you see it, you recognize it as a piece of the city. Thank you.